I'm sitting on the southern steps of Jerusalem, and we're looking at the steps that Jesus would have walked up going to the temple. These are the steps that lead into the temple when people would enter in. We have some mikvahs that are here that are located for the spiritual bathing and cleansing that they would walk through as they would come into the temple. These are the original steps at this point where I'm sitting. Most likely that Jesus would have entered in. There's a lot of places that people would say, well, Jesus was probably here, or that Jesus could have been over there. But we know that Jesus was here because this was where he would have entered in to the temple. The other thing about the southern steps is that this most likely would have been the place that Peter would have came. Those first disciples, when Jesus said, wait for me in the city until the Holy Spirit comes upon you, that you will be my witnesses. This would have been the location most likely that Peter would have stood when he preached that first sermon. And what would have been very obviously, because we have a place for those to be baptized right here. It would have been here that they would have found the power of the Holy Spirit that would have came into their lives, empowered them to do the call that God called them to be. And that's one of the priorities that we train and teach with J-Life. Is one of the foundational priorities is the empowerment of the Holy Spirit. In J-Life, we have to look at, what did Jesus teach us? One is we need to receive the Holy Spirit. In order for us to complete the work that God had called us to do, we know that those first disciples, they would have had to receive the power of the Holy Spirit. Just as Jesus walked every day in communion with his Father, listening to the Father, knowing the heart of the Father, empowered by the Spirit of God to do the will of his Father. And we know that those disciples, when they receive the power of the Spirit, they become witnesses for the kingdom. It is for us as disciple makers to know that we have to be, first of all, empowered by the Spirit. And we also have to encourage and help others to understand the importance of being filled with the Spirit, that we may be able to accomplish what God has called us to do in making disciples.